Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 5 of What If Naruto Had a New Training Trip Partner That Will Change Everything. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning over on Anime King, and I do hope that you guys enjoy. And stay tuned for a brand new episode over on Anime King 3 as well, guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping your support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, as both Naruto and Jiraiya spoke to each other, as they managed to, get on better terms. Yes, at least they sort some things out. With that, they continued their training, until Jiraiya came to him, as they were going to go to Kiri, to help the rebellion side. So with that, Naruto said goodbye to the twins and Aburo, as they had declared him the new, a leader of Uzu, after all. The kids were too young despite them being older than them, and Amuro was already married to one of the leaders of the Uzumakis, as she wanted her grandson to rule. As she also gave him something before he leave, she started to train him in the arts of the secret scroll that belongs to the Uzumaki. So with that time pass, as the group made their way, Tewa tagging along as well, as Zabuza and Haku came to escort them, as Haku and Zabuza had survived on the bridge, and they had made their way off and now they were with the rebel forces. Making their way there, as Naruto spoke to the leader, Meiterume, as any help she would take, she would rather be gracious to receive, even though it was just 3 of them. But that proved to be rather, amazing, seeing that Naruto did more for them than they did in the longest time, as they were even pushing back Yagura's forces. Mei then came to spoke to Naruto about him and Tewa, as people had been noticing her strange behavior. As she spoke to him about it, as she also told him a story about her life as well. When in the blood rain time of Mizo, after all, you had to kill people in your graduation class. She had to kill the boy that she loved. If there's a chance, he might as well just take it. At the same moment, Zabuza was talking to Tayuya, as the both of them got along really well, seeing that the both of them basically had the same attitude when it comes towards things, and always cursing. As she told him about Naruto, as he told her the same thing, to take the chance. After all, if it come down the long run, they can sort it out then and there. But the place was shook. The reason why, all of Yagura's men were out there. Not to mention Yagura got forced from Kumo, as the 8-tailed Jinjuriki and the 2-tailed Jinjuriki was there as well. And also, the Rokiba was on his side as well. So with that, the battle began. Ayo then revealed something as he had the Sharingan of Shisui Uchiha, as he was able to put Yujito under the Sharingan powers and take her out of the battle, as Naruto took on the other two, showing how far his training has put him so far, as he was able to battle with them, even though he knew the both of them were not going all out, seeing that they haven't tapped into the cloak yet. But his assistant then arrived, as it was Gar, Temari and Kankuro. Mei was shocked that Naruto had called the Kizakage for help. As Gar then came down there and the real battle began, as he used the sand to capture all of the enemy forces, as he just break away the particles down into the ground. So with that, Naruto was left to face off against the 2 Jinjurikis, as he told the others to go so he can do his thing, as he knew that he was going to hurt like hell when all of this was over. So yeah guys, so it's basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across to the place and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Gaara was frustrated. He was tired. He was a little hungry. His bubble, blowing opponent, just wouldn't roll over and die. You know, little things in life, they just weren't working for him at the moment. like saying perhaps killing the six-tailed Jinjuriki. The man just wouldn't stay down. The both of them turned their eyes over to the side as they saw lightning spring up everywhere. They heard the painful cry of Yagra as Naruto had electrocuted the man. Look like he's doing alright. You sure I can't convince you to just leave and go somewhere? It would make my life a lot more easier. Why are you even working for a tyrant? Asked Gaara. Because he wasn't responsible for his actions. By the time we broke the Genjutsu on him, the rebellion had already been done. All we want to do is find those that are responsible and bring them to justice. Gaara paused. Unfortunately, it seems that both sides are right in this, said Utakata. The rebels want Yagra to answer for all the crime that he committed, while he was placed under the control of another. And Yagra want to end the war that shouldn't have begun in the first place. Yes, but you're here because of loyalty of your friend. And I'm here for the same thing, said Gaara. So then, let us finish this, said Utakata. As the two of them renewed their battle, the demons howling from within. As Utakata fired water bullets as they slammed into Gaara. But Gaara didn't even move an inch as the sand armor started to break and fall. As Gaara went through handstand and created a massive, jagged earth that went up that tried to swallow up Utakata. But Utakata dodged as he swung his fist, adding wind chakra at the tip of his arm. So it caused a disruption in the air and released a violent explosion that slammed into Gaara's chest. As Gaara's features changed, they were calm and blank. As Utakata started to take on the cloak of his demon to end this. Shikaku, can you hear me? I have a proposition for you, said Gaara. Speak then, said Shikaku. If I willingly give you control to fight this man and his Biju, will you guarantee to go back in the seal once this battle is over? And what exactly is in it for me, the Biju asks. Destroying the Rokiba in his home territory, proving your superiority. Tempting. Oh, whatever. It's been at least a century since I last fought one of his containers. Let me at him, said Shikaku. As Gaara's eyes changed as he took on the features of the Ichibai. Meanwhile, that was going on. Killer Bee was fast as the man had on his cloak. Naruto was outmatched. He had to charge his body with lightning chakra to keep up. Yagra was moving behind, seeing that he was still recovering from his earlier wounds from being electrocuted so badly. Apparently though, it seemed that the standby, strangely enough, couldn't heal his wounds. All of Naruto's clones had been destroyed. It was him alone left. Killer Bee had a third sword in his mouth now, as Naruto Fox was big enough to block all strike from the blades. But if they got any more serious, it would be very, very bad on him. You know, I don't know what kind of creature you call the Haxabi, but I guarantee you, said Naruto, as he placed his fox away. He then started to speed through hand sign. No matter what it is, it can still be eaten by 1,000 birds, said Naruto. As his Shidori lit up on his hand, Naruto twisted his body just in time as the Yagra staff ripped through the air with tremendous speed, trying to take off his head. As Naruto looked at the two of them, his head leaning down to the side. Despite the both of them not being born back then, they were from the two villages that helped destroy Uza, and that made him pissed. That's a lot of lightning, but your jutsu ain't frightening, Mr. 9. Because we're doing just fine, said B. The man was still rapping, even with blade in his mouth, as Naruto charged Kyuubi into the Shidori as it started to turn red. In seconds, the chirping bird song had been paced out. Now it sounded like carrying birds. A small smirk came on Naruto's face. You guys should really pay more attention to where I leave my weapons, or if they're really weapons in the first place. Be back in a few, he said. As he threw a smoke pellet down and he was gone. 6 clones then sprang to life as they were transformed. As Naruto wasn't worried about how he would get back, as he already placed a clone on the ground that was transformed as a shuriken. The reason why he went off was because of what he sensed as he arrived to see Gaara. As he was not fully transformed, Utakata was in his second state. His skin was red. It looked like blood was leaking from his body. Naruto, Gaara yelled as Naruto slammed the Shidori into Utakata's skin. But to his utter shock, the thing did not pierce him. Gaara called out his name was a warning as Naruto leaped back as Utakata's claw hand ripped through the area where his body once was. Don't kill him. I promise. Yagra may have his reasons, He cannot be spared, but this one is not evil. He can be left alive. Kire will need everything they have in order to get the village back up to speed. As Naruto looked at Gaara, as he nodded, I know a demon restraining technique that I can use in the event of something like this happening. As Naruto looked at Utakata once again, it's gonna take a lot of chakra. Do you think you can keep him busy for a couple of minutes, said Naruto. Gaara nodded as he was cloaked in the sand, but he was still able to communicate with Naruto perfectly. As he moved forward, as he started to clash with Utakata once again, their bodies slamming together as the red cloak was ripping the sand apart. As Naruto closed his eyes, as he went through a long, complicated series of hand signs, as some clones poofed up around him, as they start to go through different hand signs as well, as Naruto cracked open the eye as he saw the distance between him and Utakata. He was using the technique from Uzu, the 26 Hammers seal. It could place the person inside of a dead light sleep, or seal until ready to kill the victim. But the more chakra the person has, the more chakra you will have to expel to put them and bend them under your will to control them. Given the amount of chakra that Uzumaki's had, well, it was difficult to place them under this technique. As Naruto saw Utakata turn his back to him, now was the time to strike. As the tip of his feet electrocuted a bit before he moving off the speed granted to him by charging his body with lightning chakra. He ran behind Utakata's guard leaped away as he slammed his hand on Utakata's back. As Naruto winced as he felt his chakra being sucked out of him, Utakata roared in pain as the cloak started to shrink and shrink and shrink until it was gone. As Utakata fell down and so did Naruto. Now he eliminated one of their enemies. Half of his chakra was used up right there and then, but he still had a job to do. I hope you're ready, Gaara. We're not done yet, said Naruto. Gaara nodded as both of them sunshine back over towards where the real battle was going to take place. Miss me, asshole, said Naruto as he appeared with Gaara. Now it's a bit more fair. 2 on 2. Utakata, what did you do to him, said Yagura, seeing that Gaara was here as well. I shoved the big ass Shidori through his gut. It left a rather big hole. I don't suppose he like me, does he? You bastard. I'll kill you, Yagura screamed as his body exploded, literally bringing out the full force of the sandmine. As everyone had to move back as the full possession take place and the giant turtle roamed the earth once more. Oh, that's not good, said Killer B. New mission objective, understood. New mission, said Naruto. I'm gonna pacify the demon, get Yujito, and get leaving. Of course, Naruto understood. The Raikage wouldn't want his 2 powerless shinobis to die so far from home, aiding a tyrant. Better to save themselves in this war that they shouldn't even be interfered with. But Naruto wasn't going to abandon the rebels, as he fought with them for some time now, as he felt like he was one of them. You know, Yagura seemed a bit unhinged. More than a Kage should be. No offense, Gaara, said Naruto. None taken. The reason, or at least the one Utakata told me while we were fighting, is that Yagura was placed under a mind-altering genjutsu that caused him to do all this chaos. The Sanbai roared, getting your attention. As Gaara looked at Naruto and nodded, and Naruto jumped back. As Gaara then transformed fully as a one-tailed Shikaku roamed the earth as well. As a massive wave of sand lifted up behind the Sanbai, as Shikaku brought it down. Boom! It slammed into the beast with tremendous force, shaking the entire island. But their hope was quickly blown away when they saw a bright light. The Sanbai had gathered a miniature Bichu bomb and slammed it into the sand, blew it apart. You know, Mr. 9, that thing is gone wild. It seems like it's time for us to intervene in this trial. Naruto lowered himself on all fours. As the red chakra started to consume him, his eyes turned into slits, claws, fangs. As he growled, he then heard something in his mind, something that he never heard before. As he did it, his hands moved automatically. A jutsu. As Naruto was confused what the hell was going on. What exactly was all nature? He then realized something by channeling the Kyuubi chakra and giving it a manual override to all of his limbs. He had given it access to his own power source. Thankfully, Abiju could not undone the seal that it was, well, placed under. So, he was still in control here. But he really wanted to know what jutsu was called Heavenly Fist of the Omnipresent. A great rumble was heard as it was coming from the sky. As Naruto looked up to see the clouds parted, fire was raining down from the sky. But that wasn't just any fire. It was a meteor coming down. It smashed right where the standby was as Shikaku was blown away. As Gaara, the sand body was torn to pieces. Gaara was lost somewhere in the explosion. The standby was sent sailing and crashing everywhere. Killer Bee decided to step back as he just wanted to observe to see what Mr. 9 was capable of. As Naruto stood there, completely shocked that he was the one that did that. "That's so badass," he said. "You're fighting one of my brethren. You can't utilize my full power with all these seals in place. But it would be bad if you lose against him. To die against his weakling. That would damage my reputation after all. The control he was placed under has taken away most of his power. Even my sibling hasn't regained his full abilities yet," said the Kyuubi. As Naruto had noticed that Yagura was acting rather strange and not fighting as Akage should. And another thing, the Kyuubi was talking to him. Usually, it simply ignored him. "So," said Naruto, "you got anything else up your sleeve?" as he saw the standby getting back up. It didn't get fully hit by the meteorite. Here's another one. The weightless mountain peak. Suddenly, the ground started to rise up under the standby as a literal mountain shot right into the stomach of the standby with tremendous force, piercing into it before yanking it back down into the ground. Boom! It slammed down hard. "That is as much as my strength as you can use right now. Your body cannot handle my most devastating techniques," said the Kyuubi. As Naruto blinked, the Kyuubi considered calling a meteor with fire and creating a mountain minor techniques because he said that he couldn't handle his most powerful techniques basically. So what the hell was the dangerous techniques? Meanwhile, the standby started to retreat back into the seal, showing that the Kyuubi was the strongest out of all of the Bijus. 2 techniques and the thing was already brought down. Yagura stood there in his place, but the man was now 100% healed. He stood there looking at his hands. It seemed like he was confused, conflicted, and scared and angry. He then looked up as Naruto saw all those emotions running across his face. "Well, at least thank you for that. Your defeat of the standby shook off the last part of mind control technique that I was placed under," said Yagura. As Naruto could see it, the man was no longer jumpy. There was a small smile on his face, his hook staff in his hand, and his body was relaxed and elegant like Akage should be. "I'm sorry. We had to meet as enemies, Naruto Uzumaki. I'm sure if you were my ally, the rebellion could have ended peacefully. Once you had touched my mind," said Yagura. "I'm sorry that you were controlled," said Naruto. "I'm sorry that your position and my alliance make us do what we have to do. As Mizukage, I cannot allow the succession of such a small portion of my forces, even though they're small though. The talent they possess still outmatch many of those that are loyal to me." He was speaking of the rebels. He still couldn't allow them to take over everything. He still was a Mizukage. "My duty as Mizukage is to keep my village united. However, I must." He lowered his head. Then said Naruto, as he brought up his blade and placed it on his shoulder, "Only one of us is coming out of this alive." As the both of them knew that one of them will have to die today. Despite the mind control being broken, Yagura could not allow the rebellion forces to take over Kiri. He was still the Mizukage. He still had his loyal subordinates, and he will have to kill Naruto first to get through. As a droplet of water fell from the sky and dropped down to the ground. With that, the both of them shot forward. One of them will be dying today as the both of them moved in and started to clash. His hook staff clashed against Naruto's blade violently. As they were clashing, Naruto weighed his option. His water and fire techniques were out of the question. Yagura Being the standby Jinjuriki like Gara had an inhuman control over water. And now with Yagura no longer confused and at the height of his power, trying to, well, divert that would be rather suicidal. The lightning techniques though, those were his best options. But one of them he had to hold on to the enemy, and the Shidori, Yagura, could dodge it. That left a couple other options, but those require a few more hand seals he didn't really have time left for. As the both of them continued to clash, Yagura was moving differently from before. The man was faster and stronger. As Naruto Fox was in its smaller form, it was linked to the Kyuubi's chakra, so until he gained that chakra again, it would stay in this form. Tamity curse. But it seems like Yagura couldn't access his Biju power either. As the both of them could feel eyes on them, Shinobis from different sides were watching, as it was just like Chunin exams, where he had won, and Neji was hospitalized afterwards. But this was different, the stakes were much higher right here and now. This was the battle that would decide the fate of Kiri. Yagura then jumped back, as he leaned up against his hook staff. Ninjutsu, he said, as he shifted his feet. Sure, might as well do you the courtesy of outclassing you, said Naruto. As the both of them placed their respective weapons on their back, as they speed through hand sign. Wind style, water style, as the both of them start to release techniques. Water bullets slammed into Naruto's chest, tearing his clothes even more. Yagura got sliced across the cheek by a wind attack. Come on, how many times I'm gonna have to buy a new shirt and jacket? This is ridiculous, said Naruto, as he removed his clothing, as his scars could be seen. The most visible was the two holes, one over his right lung, and one close to his heart. There was also one towards his left arm. It was a full ring. The Mizukage looked at it with a puzzled expression. This is what happens when a village doesn't trust its Kage. Distrust leads to disloyalty. Disloyalty breed dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction leads to suffering. Although in the end I think they suffered more than I did. There's one thing I learned from the Kyuubi, and I think it is the most important lesson than everything else. As his chakra started to gather, sometimes you have to kill. Sometimes that killing is a chore, and sometimes that killing is a part of the mission. Sometimes you get to do it for fun. And the most enjoyable moments are when your enemy is screaming and begging for mercy. I don't care who you are, rank or not. You will be begging for death by the time I'm done with you, said Naruto. Maybe, if all you do is talking, said Mizukage, death would be a mercy compared to your talking. As Naruto smirked, lightning release. Twin snake techniques. As two snakes came from Naruto's arm, made from lightning as they went underground. As he speed through hand sign and released a massive grand fireball, 4 times larger than Yagura. As he then summoned clones. Yagura flashed through hand sign, water, he gasped as the first snake struck him. The second one struck him once again. Rasengan sent Naruto as he leaped forward, but Yagura burst into water. A water clone? Correct, said a voice. From behind him as Naruto spun and caught the kunai with the palm of his hand. As blood started to fall down. Can't get away now, you slippery son of a bitch. Rasengan sent Naruto as he slammed it right into Yagura's chest. The Mizukage was sent sailing away as he crashed the ground. It took the man at least 5 seconds to get back up, but when he did, the wound was fully healed. You son of a bitch. Alright, fine, said Naruto. Chakra chains exploded from the earth, but Yagura dodged each and every one of them. As Naruto had to drop the control as he leaped away from Yagura, who smashed down with his staff. I liked you better when you were delusional, said Naruto. Terribly sorry, but I like myself better like this. Water style. A massive wave rose up from where the standby was. That was an army killing technique, as Naruto watched the thing towered over him. The Kazekage claimed that he's invincible as long as he has sand. Well, that applied to me as well. As long as I have water, said Yagura. Bullshit, said Naruto. As Yagura crushed the technique prematurely to slam down where Naruto was. As the water smashed into the earth, the massive wave causing terrible damage. As Yagura stood there, when suddenly, lightning broke from the ground and struck him in the shoulder as he stepped back. As Naruto came out swinging wildly, Yagura blocked it with his staff. As he grunted, he kicked back Naruto as the both of them flashed through hand signs and started to release ninjutsu after ninjutsu. Water needles, electric pulse, Yagura's eyes scanned the place as he slammed his staff into Naruto as he poofed away. He then twists. He fired off a blast of water that slammed into the real Naruto. As he walked over to him, Naruto was using the invisibility jutsu. That jutsu makes you invisible. But, said Yagura, they had moved from where all the water was, as they had made their way to where Naruto released a massive fireball. You shouldn't use their own open fire, said Yagura, as Naruto cursed as Yagura stood over him. When I see you in the afterlife, I'll be sure to tell you the state of the world. Don't feel too bad, said Yagura. The life of a shinobi is deception, and to deceive. You have pushed me farther than anyone else before. Take pride in that, and bring it to your grave. As Naruto was now on his knees as Yagura raised his staff to strike. Sorry, Kakashi, Naruto thought. Sorry, Sasuke. Sorry, Sakura. Sorry, Tenten. Sorry, Gaara. Sorry, Kuga. Sorry, Rei. Sorry, Jiji. Sorry, Snadibachan, he said. Sorry, Abaru. Sorry, Yajiro Jiji, he said. I will give you a quick death, said Yagura. So, you won't feel any pain. Sorry, Urasen, said Naruto. As he was almost out of chakra, there was no way that he could stop Yagura now. If he had just killed Utakata, he wouldn't have to use up so much chakra to steal a power away. He simply shrugged. That was in the past. Sorry, Tewa, he said. Goodbye, Naruto Uzumaki, said Yagura, as he brought down the staff to end it. Naruto heard a scream as his eyes were closed as something splashed across his face. Blood. But it was not his blood. Sorry, piss for brains. You're not going anywhere without me. As Naruto's eyes snapped open, as he saw Yagura's staff deep within Tayuya ribcage. Tayuya? Said Naruto. I was gonna tell you, she said. After the rebellion was over, I made up my mind. It doesn't matter, I want to be with you same way. Because I love you, she said. Sorry I'm too late, that I didn't have the guts to make up my mind before now, she said. As she slit off the staff, as she felt her lips brush against his, as she fell right into his arms. And Naruto didn't know what to say. His mind was just blank. Even if he would have something to say, she wouldn't have heard it, as Naruto had seen enough corpses to know. As Naruto couldn't understand, why couldn't he say or think of anything? Because at that moment, something inside of him just broke. Something just exploded. Drip, drip, drip. His head was down as he made his way towards the cage. The both of them were linked, so the Kyuubi could feel all the rage that was bubbling up inside Naruto. There's only one way to save her. How? Said Naruto. As he looked up, his eyes filled with nothing but pain as he stood in front of a giant fox. You have to use my power. You have to undo the seal. There are consequences though. I don't care anymore, said Naruto. He didn't care if this was a trick or if there was any consequences. He would do anything. Remove the seal and you can save her. You would be corrupted. Every time you use my power, a part of you would be corrupted by me until nothing but an empty shell is left, filled with nothing but rage and hatred, unless you manage to make me submit to you. Not that that will happen in your lifetime. And on the day when you finally take control of Naruto's body, he will have his freedom, and also he will have ramen, actual real ramen. As he couldn't be more happier for her. Anything, said Naruto. She told him that she loved him. May words coming back to his mind. Regret. She can die tomorrow without ever telling you how she feel. You can die tomorrow without ever making up your mind. So it's best to get it over with and tell someone how you feel right now, other than living with regret. The soon-to-be Mizukage was right. He regretted everything, not trusting Tayuya with his feelings, not telling her how he actually felt, rather than hiding it. He regretted that he gave up so easily, even while she was watching, and he accepted death, and then she chose to die in his place. As he stood there, he didn't notice as the world around him changed, the fox cage moving. Two trails now lay in front of him. The first was illuminated by a dying firelight that led to Konoha, home. It led to family, friendship, warmth. A heroic man who lost so much but is coming back. It led to peace, unity, prosperity. Tayuya was not on their side though. She was not there. She wasn't there. But the other path led towards the Kyuubi's cage, straight into the darkness. It was cold, filled with death and suffering. And the unknown, the worst of all, the unknown, something that baffled many shinobis to not know exactly what was going on. A voice then spoke, as he didn't know what it was, but he listened. 2 roads lie before you, it said, and you must choose one. What will you choose? The path of light, the path that you know, the path of protection, or will you follow me into the darkness, no matter where I may lead you? The voice said. As Naruto never would have known his choice, but the voice, it made it so clear. For her, he said, the beast and him was one. For her, he will take this path. As Naruto moved forward, as his hand went toward the padlock of the cage, he never even saw the seal hit the ground. As a voice spoke, Zenten, Kensutsuku, the voice said. As Naruto vanished from his mindscape, the chakra that had left behind by his parents appeared to reattach a seal. You wouldn't dare waste your final remaining chakra to give up a chance of seeing your son. Pathetic, a voice said. Besides, I have already cast a technique. A third, unseen person hand moved towards the paper marker and placed it back in place. As that third person vanished in the mindscape forever. This world was not done with Naruto Uzumaki just yet. As Naruto moved back into the real world, as the Kyuubi had cast a jutsu named Construct, Yagura was in mid-air, Naruto chakra chain spinning him up by his arms and legs, and the blade on his back was now full size. The chains had drained Yagura chakra out and kept him immobilized, unable to cast any jutsu. Your death will give her life, said Naruto. Your death will give this land life. The fire, that hopeful, curious spirit had been taken out of him. This person no longer seemed like Naruto. As he swung, Yagura winced out in pain as his left arm was torn off. 2 for the people. For the people you murdered, for the people you betrayed. As he swung again, Yagura's right leg was ripped off without mercy. 3 for the land. The land you broke. The land you destroyed. The one you call home. He swung as Yagura's right arm was teared off. 4 for myself. I, the one that fought you. The one that should have died. I, the one that will kill you. With a cry of pain, Yagura lost his final limb, leaving nothing but a bleeding torso and a head. Killing Tewa in front of him had broken a part of Naruto. As he killed Yagura without a shred of mercy. The rebels knew it though. It was over. They have won. And 5 for her. Her that I owe my life to, said Naruto. Yagura stared at Naruto, and all he saw in the boy's eyes was nothingness. It was like pure darkness. For her, the one I love, he said, as he swung. The blade tear into Yagura's throat, as he lost his life before it finished, tearing off his head, as his head dropped down to the ground. As Naruto dropped to his knees to scream, but when he did, a demonic roar tore from deep within his throat, shaking the place around them. As night continued to fall, the light vanishing over the horizon, rain started to pour down on them. Time skip. At the moment, Naruto was staring at a door. As Mei spoke, trust in Jiraiya. He knew what he's doing, she said. As Naruto still kept his focus on the door. It shouldn't have come to this, said Naruto. If I had just killed Utakata instead of sealing him away, I would have had twice the amount of chakra to end that battle. I would have won and Tewa would have still been a... As he didn't finish that sentence, just for the record, I appreciate that I'm not dead, said Utakata, as he was also there sitting on a bench. Just thought I might mention that, he said. Listen kid, what's done is done. That white-haired pervert is one crazy son of a bitch. But no one is better at fooling jutsu than him, said Zabuza, as he was also looking at the door. The Kyuubi words were still in Naruto's mind. You will lose part of yourself to me. You will follow me into the shadow, no matter where I may lead you. He had agreed, but that didn't matter at the moment. All that mattered was there was a chance of Jiraiya saving Tayuya from her death. A way to bring back those who have been clinically dead for a short amount of time. And it also solved Yagra death by Naruto's hands. They were going to make Tayuya into the new Senpai Jinjuriki. After killing Yagra, Naruto placed a seal on Tayuya to prevent her body from moving anymore towards death. She would remain that way until he finally unsealed her. And if he did it, well, quick enough. After all, if he was too late, he was just sealing someone that was already completely gone. Naruto, that girl's one of Orochimaru guards, and she's training with you for a long time, along with Jiraiya. She will be okay, said Temari. She worked alongside a Jinjuriki. She will make a good one, said Yujito, as she had awoken from her comatose state. At the moment, Jiraiya was inside the room, with a seal master from Kiri, and Kankuro as well, with his rough knowledge in basic Fuinjutsu, to lessen the strain on the other two. The door opened, and Jiraiya came out. He looked towards Naruto as he released a breath. There is nothing else that we can do for her. It's all on you now, kid. Shut the door behind you. If Tayuya Biju feel corpse went berserk from the unstable Biju chakra, the dead man switch that he placed in the wall would take care of it. But it's probably not best to let Naruto know that, to think about those options at the moment. Good luck, Naruto-koi, said me, as she squeezed his shoulder for reinsurance. As Naruto remembered his words that he said to Yagra, to her, I will be joining her soon. It sounded like a declaration of suicide, but this was better. The both of them can live. As he made his way in the room and locked the door, as a Fuinjutsu script was all over the room as Naruto started to charge his chakra, as the lines started to spread out everywhere, around her stomach and her curse mark. As he went through the hand signs slowly, dog, tiger, rat, horse, dog, rabbit, dragon, rabbit, tiger, monkey, bear, ox, dragon, ox, dog, rat, horse, bear. Release! Nothing happened. No gasp of breath. No jumping up, nothing. It was silent. As Naruto's fist started to clench until he saw her ribcage mending back together, crushed bones mending together, flesh, muscles coming back together. As Naruto just stood there, looking at the wound, he then heard his name. Naruto, you... As he slowly lifted up his head. As Naruto looked at her, we won, he said. Thanks to you. I'm glad. I told you, I felt... She couldn't really properly form the words. As Naruto held onto her hand, I love you too, he said. A small smile came in her face. Love you too, shithead. Nap time now, she said, as she slumped down unconscious in his arms. As Naruto felt her pulse, she made it. They did it. They did it. He could deal with the fault of his actions and the political manner later. All that mattered was that she was alive, that he saved her. She would stay with him. She's alive. As Naruto picked her up, the curse mark that Orochimaru placed on her was gone. On her neck was the Uzumaki symbol instead of the mark. As Naruto smiled as he opened the door. Time skip. God damn it. My head, said Tayuya as she slowly woke up. The last thing she remembered was moving. Her body was moving on its own to protect Naruto. And then she woke up in his arms after feeling tremendous pain. She moved her hand to her side as she felt the skin there. Not even a scar. Was it all a dream, she wondered. As she glanced around, she was lying in a hospital bed. Get well cards there, next to her bed, and she felt a weight on top of her legs. Hey, Naruto, wake up, she said. I don't care how much you want to be on top of me right now, but this is not the time or place. As Naruto snored. Wake up, goddammit! I don't have all day peace for brains. He snored deeper as he muzzled something torn from her legs, mumbling something. As he started to move closer, coming up rather close. In your sleeping state, she said. But he didn't respond. She then felt something strange as she reached up. her curse mark. It felt like it wasn't there. Was it gone? Tayuya-chan, Naruto mumbled. Happy. Wake up, damn it, she said. As she lifted her legs, forcing him to fly backwards in his chair. Hope you know I'm not sorry. Huh? Said Naruto as he looked around. He got to his feet rather quickly. You're weak. As he grabbed her and pulled her into a tight hug. We did it. We made it. Oh man, that was really... We were all worried about you, Tayuya-chan, he said. Okay, peaceful brains. What the hell happened? What do you mean we, she said. Well, after you got hit, and I killed Yagura, the only way I could keep you alive was... What did you do, she asked. I just placed a seal on you that kept you from completely dying. Jiraiya is the one that did most of the Fuinjutsu work. What did you do, she asked. We may have made you the new standby Jinjuriki. We wasn't sure that it was going to work. Visual sealing when the target is already grown is a risky thing. Wait, you put the standby inside me? So, I'm a Jinjuriki now? Wait, are you messing with me, she said. Not really, said Naruto. As Tayuya blinked and looked down. She was a Jinjuriki? Time skip, the festival was on its second day. And it would last for a week. Mei had become the 5th Mizukage, and Kira was celebrating the civil war finally being over. And Naruto and Tayuya were granted diplomatic immunity due to their service and efforts in the war. But Naruto knew that it was a different case if he ever came across some of the loyalists that belongs to Yagura. He had murdered their leader in cold blood right in front of many of their eyes. Mei word was law here, but if they ever came across him outside, yes, most of them would try to kill him that were loyal to Yagura. The cost of using the Tayuya's chakra to kill Yagura, it has caused some changes. His ears had become a bit slanted, and his canines had lengthened just a bit. His nails had hardened, turning them into natural claws. While the small changes were noticeable, he didn't really mind. It was better than having Tayuya dead. I meant what I said, Tayuya told him, as they walked together hand in hand. As many people were smiling at them and waving at them, most of them were for Naruto. As some of them were also smiling and waving at Tayuya as well. They saw her jump into place to take the strike. The strike that would have killed Naruto, and if he had died right there and then, all of this wouldn't have happened right now. The blow that actually killed her, that was something she was still trying to wrap her head around. For a few minutes, she was actually dead. Yes, she had died for a few minutes. And they placed the Bijou inside of her. And it destroyed Orochimaru curse mark. Seeing that Orochimaru curse mark was similar to what a Jinjuriki did. Yes, draw chakra from their tenant inside. And you draw chakra from the curse mark power. It completely override the curse mark and destroyed it. She was happy. As in the back of her mind, she was always thinking maybe Orochimaru could do something to take over her body and make her kill Naruto, because she knew that he let his guard around her most of the time. No, she never have to worry about that again. She was finally free from that disgusting snake. She could deal with the fact that she was now a Jinjuriki, as she was out for the process. What she knew was that her organs had been, healed. Most of the time this did not work, and it caused the host to go berserk or simply remain dead. But Jiraiya, with his sealing, had saved her. And Naruto, quick thinking as well. That was the second time now that Jiraiya had saved her life. First, not allowing her to die out there when he picked that tree off of her. And now this. As grateful as she was, she wanted to be strong enough so she wouldn't have to be saved. But Naruto was strong. And despite that, the ninja world was rather tricky. There's always something that just surprises you sometimes. If Killer Bee hadn't been there in the first place, Yagura would have been dead rather quickly when his mind was still cloudy and foggy. But still, Naruto fought all of them. And in the last moments when he used his chakra to stop Utakata, he was weakened. When Yagura was about to kill him, people were afraid to step in. All of them freed off the Reaper. She looked down as she still had a scar. Yes. The color of her skin there looked different from the rest of her body. This was a reminder how far she was going to go to save him, to protect him no matter what. But knowing him, she wouldn't show him because it would serve as a reminder that he wasn't able to protect her. She didn't want him to think that way. After all, he saved her. And at the end of the day, she was alive. And she was happy. Those thoughts were for another time now. As for now, they had the festival to attend. Meanwhile, that was going on. They deserve their happiness, May said. And you do not, said Gaara. The both of them were in the office, looking down. As they're working on a diplomatic agreement, a trade pact, a non-aggression pact as well. I didn't say that, she said. No, but you implied it, said Gaara. I'm surprised, Gaara said. I thought the highly supportive candidate who became Mizukage would have a lot of suitors. But even your guards don't stick around for too long. When I was young, Kiri, traditions was that you kill your partner, ending the graduation class. He confessed his love for me. And ever since then, as we can see that I'm still standing here, no one has ever wanted to be near me, she said. Hearing that, guard decided to talk a bit about himself. The Ichibai was planted inside me while my mother was still pregnant with me. She died as a result. At the age of 4, my father sent my uncle to assassinate me. After that night, I swear that I would only live for myself, that I would become powerful no matter what, and kill anyone that stands in my way. I terrorized my village and siblings until I came to Konoha where Naruto beat me on his own. And how do you say it? Forced his will upon me. And after that fight, I saw all the wrongs I've been doing. That he was right. When you fight for someone you care about, that is when you truly become strong. And that, there, changed my entire life. And I start to understand and make amends. I see no reason why your personal life can't be the same, said Gaara. But instead of being a Kage, the end result is finding love. Genuine love like those two. I'm happy for them, but I feel a bit jealous in me. Even you, Kazekage Dano, must have someone, she said. Don't you? Please. Just Gaara is fine, he said. That is how everyone knows me. And I don't want that to change. It's still the same in my village. Despite the respect, I gained my title now. Alright then, Gaara, she said. Still, my point stands. Surely, you have someone special in your life. Just women interested in the power of being my wife. Or girls, equivalent of a schoolyard crush on me. Nothing serious. And none worth pursuing for a serious turn, said Gaara. Not even a tall, buxom redhead who just won a war because of your friend down there, she said. Gaara paused as he turned towards her, as she looked back at him. Getting to know you, personally, would take precedence before I could make a decision. And the age gap doesn't bother you, she said. Shinobi life is filled with death, and a lot of time regret. So, if you have the opportunity, do not waste it. It is best if you take it. If you would like, I will be more than happy to accompany you to the festival, said Gaara. Outside the door, Ao and Zabuza look at each other and vanish. Eavesdropping was, well, not really ethical, but when their Kage was involved, they had to be on point. But this was completely different. As Zabuza remembered what he told Tayuya, it seems that the new Sanbai Jinjuriki was not the only redhead that took that advice. It seems something was going to be happening here between these two. Well, he simply shrugged it off as he made his way. But guys, we end this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this or not, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification I posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of the what is coming your way. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But for now, I'm out of here. See you guys soon over in Anime King for What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning. Peace.